Everybody, welcome back to Wiki Sports. This is the Bayou Breakdown. We're joined, as always, by Jack Tierney. Jack, how you doing?
Brian, doing good, thanks, man. Happy to be here.
Yeah, I mean, I almost feel like I didn't even have to ask how you're doing after a 34 to nothing victory over the New England Patriots. It's got to feel good today.
A route, dude, an absolute route. Definitely feels good. We're sitting on. We watched Monday Night Football, which was interesting, I would say to say the least. And then we had, I had an extra day to just kind of sit here and relish. We had a long weekend for work, so I have a lot of Patriots fans or coworkers, I guess, who are fans. Very nice to rub it in this morning. Like happy to send them all good morning messages and happy to have them all be like, "Don't talk to me." So really good time. I was having a great time on Sunday watching that score just rack up and watching our defense really take care of business, as well as Derek Carr, Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave, the gang. So
Mhm.
nice to see it. Happy to as a New Englander or a former New Englander, I guess, whatever you want to call me. I'm happy to say that we put the Patriots in their place as if they weren't already, but we really like solidified them in their place on
Yeah,
Sunday.
man. I've heard more. We need to fire Bill Belichick. We need to blow it up than I've heard in ever. I mean,
Same.
Patriots fans are dramatic. Don't get me wrong. Like during even the Brady era, when they, very famously, one of the years they won a Super Bowl and they lost to the Chiefs early in the season, they were like, "It's over." Uh,
Yep.
but
Yep.
I think it might actually be over now.
I think so too. Yeah. Brady can't save them this time.
Mhm.
He's retired for good this time.
Yeah, he can't bail them out with his bullshit anymore. So, yeah, tell me about this game. What'd you like? What'd you like the most? We'll just go down the list of all the things because I'm sure there are plenty.
Oh, for sure. I mean, tons of things to like about this, right? I think this was so promising. At the same time, though, I want to like, I want to kind of reel our expectations in a bit. Like this was the Patriots. They did just get absolutely routed by the Cowboys, who also just got absolutely routed by the Niners. So it's like, okay, how good? Like,
The
was this even worth?
hierarchy of
The hierarchy of,
teams.
of, of NFL needs here, yeah, is saying that this is like, yeah, it was a win, but against like a league average team, it was probably like a close game. So as nice as it was to watch, everybody looked pretty good. There were a couple things that I didn't love, like Derek Carr taking a couple sacks here and there. I'm like, okay, it wasn't great. A couple of I would say bad calls too, which like would have made it even more of a rout. I would say Chris Olave had a touchdown catch that I thought was definitely a
I was
touchdown.
gonna ask about that. Yeah,
Yeah, that's on the list.
planting a flag right here. That was a touchdown.
I was a touchdown. I'll say
Yeah,
it right now. Yeah, I'll stand my ground on that. I also think that there was a Derek Carr pick that wasn't counted. If I'm being totally like both sides here, so
to
it's
be
like
fair and balanced, of course.
yeah, you
Yeah,
get a little of each. But I have Olave on my fantasy team, so that matters more to me. But that said, I think that Derek Carr's quarterback play was fine. That was if I had to say that I liked something the least, it was probably that. But it is really nice to see Alvin Kamara back in this offense and doing his thing. He's the Saints' all-time leading scorer now, um, in touchdowns. That is, and I mean the defense was solid. Cam Jordan got his first sack of the year. Um, just good pressure overall. Mac looked just like he had no time to do anything. Again, they have a really Bats have a really makeshift offensive line right now, but like man, the pressure there, the pressure in the secondary was really good. Like just overall, like a couple of nice picks, a couple of like good pass defenses. Like I don't know, man. Like the defensive aspect of this game is what stood out to me the most for sure. Um, Offense was fine. I would say offense was good. Mike Thomas looked really good in
Mhm.
little action that he saw. Chris Olave looked really good. A couple of things where he like stepped out of bounds when he hauled in like a 50-yarder or something like that. And I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, man, like you're better than that. And then same thing with the touchdown where I'm like, eh. So offense is still misfiring a little bit. I still am on the fire Pete Carmichael train, but at the same time, like that was a very fun game to watch from a defensive perspective because Mac looked like he could do nothing.
Yeah, no, I mean he really couldn't. They were Chad, Wicked Sports reporter, occasionally, mostly have not room reporter on the podcast channel. He was there. He was saying that they were chanting for Bailey Zappi
Yeah.
pretty early in that game. So that's when you know things are going bad for your opponent when they're getting the backup chant early in like
Yeah,
the
not
season.
good. And then Bailey Zappi came in and looked terrible as well. So I was like, okay, well,
I think
maybe
Bailey Zappi's a lot of false hope for the Patriots. He had a couple of good games last year, and people want to be like, "Oh, he's good." I don't think so. But
I don't think so. I
oh
mean, Bill
man,
Belichick outright released him earlier, right? Like he
mhm.
literally was like, "Yeah, you're so bad that like we're actually going to cut
Yeah,
you."
no one else is gonna pick you up.
I'm so confident that you are trash that I'm cutting you, and then we'll just put you back on the practice squad and call it a day.
Mm.
I've heard a lot of Malik Cunningham chants even at this point, who was a practice squatter now.
Why
That's
not? Why
at
not?
this point, yeah, what do we
Yeah.
have to lose, right? As a Pats fan, throw him in, see
Mhm.
what you can get. But no, I mean the Saints just looked. Saints would dissect anybody who's in the Patriots quarterback room right now, frankly.
Mhm.
So it's fine.
Yeah. So, as you said, Alvin Kamara, second game back, he had 80 yards on the ground, 17 through the air in that touchdown.
Yeah.
How like much has he added to the Saints offense in his return so far?
He's a dynamic, like I wouldn't want to say balanced necessarily, but something he does bolster is like his crazy balance. Like if you watch any of those workouts that are posted on Instagram, the dude just does not go down. Like he really, like, somebody hits him and he knows how to recover from that so quickly. I mean, there's a level of comfort, I would say, in Derek Carr, right? Whereas previously, who did you have in the backfield? Jamal Williams is fine. He's older. Kendrick Miller is still getting his feet underneath him in the NFL. Who looked good on Sunday as well, by the way. Looked super good. But Kamara is that level of comfort and like proven ability that you can just have in the backfield. If something's not looking good, your pocket's collapsing, everybody's covered, just dump it out to him. Let him run something. Probably still will get you like 6 or 7 yards depending on the coverage. At like absolute worst case, he really is just an extra level of. I know I was preaching about it earlier before he was back, but now that he's back, I'm like, man, I really did miss Alvin. It's scary to think that he's getting up there in years. He's 28 as a running back, and as we get to that age, that's kind of where we're like, what can you do? He is definitely like a solid pass catcher, so he can still be used in that capacity. But I think that's kind of why we have Jamal Williams, who's on IR, obviously. Kamara, though, like when he and Jamal Williams are there together, I feel like it is going to just be a nightmare for opposing defenses because, okay, worst case, you have to worry about Kamara, and if you put too much pressure on him, then you have Michael Thomas, Chris Olave, Juwan Johnson, Rashid Shaheed, like everybody, like that opens up the receiving game. So I think it's exciting. I'm a big fan. I'm looking forward to when everybody's healthy and when Pete Carmichael isn't calling plays anymore.
Yeah. So right now, 3-2. Buccaneers had a bye, so they're on top of the division. 3-1. Falcons above the Saints because beating the Saints head to head. Panthers, oof, oh boy, 0-5.
Neither.
Tough.
Yeah,
Um, growing pains. Like we said, we're not going to judge anything with Bryce Young's first year, uh, but some real growing pains there
for sure.
for the Panthers. How are we feeling right now where the Saints are in the division and like going forward?
I think overall, obviously not great right now. I think the Falcons are kind of a fluke, to be honest with you. I think this is a good start for them. I
Yeah.
don't foresee them beating the Saints in the standings at the end of the year.
Mm,
Uh, I think it'll probably finish Bucks Saints 1-2, like pretty interchangeable, I think,
mm.
and then Falcons and then Panthers. Um, I think the Bucks might be legit, to be honest with you. I think they're
Surprising. I
they
think
are.
Baker Mayfield has played great in these 4 games so far.
Yeah, for sure. And this buy will be interesting. Let's see if teams have kind of like studied up on what he likes to do now on this team. He's been making some solid plays. I mean, he's
Mhm,
doing what he was doing in Cleveland, to be honest with you, but just with a better team around him, better coaching, and a better system in general. Like he wasn't.
mm.
I don't know, like when he was in Carolina and when he was in LA, which I even kind of forgot about.
Yeah,
He was
yeah,
kind of
for
like
like 3 games.
yeah, exactly. And he won the first one. He was solid, but now that he has a system that is built around this is how Baker's going to play, it really feels like he is going to be a legitimate quarterback, at least for a little bit in the NFL
Mhm,
for now. So I'd love to see this. I think Derek Carr is probably better than him if I had to say anything,
mhm.
but hasn't really shown that. I don't know if you can blame the offense for that or what, but that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, I think on Baker, raw deal in Cleveland. I think forever I will say he got a raw deal. He
Same.
took over the worst team ever. They went 1-31 in the 2 years before he was there. Not him only, but he was a big part of turning the Browns into a contending team. And then he got hurt and they threw him to the side for Deshaun Watson. It is going horribly, which I love. Couldn't have happened
Yeah,
to a better franchise.
agreed. I mean, that's what you get for signing, yeah, a criminal.
Yeah.
I'll leave
You,
it at that.
hey, you know me. I was almost on the Saints, bandwagon if the Dolphins were gonna, you know, do Deshaun Watson. I could
Okay, I
not stomach rooting for them if that was gonna be the case, and I was in the market for a new team, so
I think it was between it was the Saints and Dolphins at one point. Like those are the two
Yeah,
teams
right.
you were rooting.
Yeah, Deshaun
So it's like,
Watson was also
okay, like one of us is going to be rooting for the other team pretty quickly. So
yeah.
yeah, that's where we were at. I think we both sympathize.
Mhm,
Um, and he got the raw deal in Carolina. They had fired their head coach. He was terrible. They traded him to LA after benching
yeah.
him for Sam Darnold, who was also terrible. I don't know,
Mhm.
man. It's not, yeah, wasn't looking good for him a couple of years
No.
ago. I thought he was going to be out of the league potentially. So good to see him thriving in Tampa.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's so hard for the Saints show, and we're fucking talking about Baker Mayfield. But
Baker, how
the
good he is.
last thought
Yeah,
on Baker, it's so hard for someone who's a super high draft pick to transition into a backup to where it's like, is he good enough to be backup? Yeah, absolutely.
for
But
sure.
can you roster him as a backup without there being potential controversies should the starter struggle? And that like kind of makes it like harder for those types of players to, and obviously Baker does himself no favors. He's been quiet lately, but back in Cleveland, he was,
Little,
confrontational with the media
little.
and, you know, as a first overall pick is kind of want to do sometimes. But yeah, no, it was a potentially XFL uh,
Yes,
route or Canadian
absolutely.
Football League
No, he was.
route for him. So good for him. I still think the Saints will win the division. I'm not coming off of my Saints prediction there. But yeah, anything else in this one that you want to talk about that we didn't get to?
No, I think overall, man, the consistency here is starting to show itself. I just want there to be a little bit more credit on offense, man. That's what it comes down to. So
Mhm.
very fun to watch the Saints, or yeah, the Saints absolutely rout the Patriots. That's what it
Yes.
comes down to for me. So we play the Texans next week. I think they're a high offensive powered team, but
Mhm.
I mean they're still the Texans. So CJ
Right.
Stroud looks great, though. I will say.
Yeah, CJ Stroud is playing well. They did lose to the Falcons though. Messed
Yeah,
up,
which is
messed up my picks and my blog.
brutal,
That's fine.
brutal.
Desmond Ritter finally decided to have a good game for
Oh,
once in his life.
I didn't think he even knew how to play quarterback. So
I know.
that's very.
I literally called him out in the blog. I was like, I think the Texans found their future quarterback, and I think the Falcons have not. And
Yeah.
then he goes out and plays well. It's like, shit, maybe I don't know
Ah, damn it.
what I'm
Yeah.
talking about.
329 and a touchy. That's scary. Dang, he is
That's
playing
good.
football.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, he had a good game. He saw my
Hopefully, no more
blog
of
and it's like, fuck Brian, I'm gonna show him.
that. Yeah, no more of that. No more of that. Desmond
No.
Ritter stinks.
All right. Where can they find you online?
Best place to find me is on Twitter or X, and that's at Jack_Tiernan. So follow me there. You can also follow my disc golf page online. That's at Jack Disc Golfs on Instagram. Follow me there for more content.
Yes, and you're going to be transitioning down to the Florida. I
Yeah,
don't know. I was going to say the South, and then I said Florida and said the Florida, but
Florida,
very confusing. Going down to Florida, you have more opportunities to play some disc golf than you'd have up
for
here
sure.
during the winter. It's already getting cold here
Yeah, it
in
is.
New
It's
England.
brutal. Wait, yeah,
So follow
tough place.
Jack there for a lot of disc golf content. And of course, you can follow the channel on Twitter at WG Everything, Instagram, Wicked Everything, Twitch at twitch.tv/Wicked Everything, and on TikTok. Search Wicked Sports, search Wicked Good Everything. And other than that, Jack, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me, Brian.
We'll see you all in the next one.